All right, welcome to another live Q&A, and my name is Don Costa, your host here today. Like I said the last time, I'm running these like a podcast to a certain degree with all the questions and everything else. So I'm going to give people a few minutes to jump on here. So if you're watching the replay, just go ahead and maybe ask a question. I will go back and answer those questions. Post replay, in your comment, so I know whether you're watching live or replay. And then if you're watching live right now, if you're coming on and watching live, just in the comments, tell me where you're at. Tell me what state you're in, what's going on in your life, that kind of thing. Give me some likes and hearts so I know people are there. And we'll get this thing going. So I am I'm ready for questions today. I want to answer as many questions as I can, but I also want to share some things with you. So my topic for today, I'm in a mood today. I'm actually in a bad mood today. You can't really tell because I don't usually exude that too much. And my frustration, the core of my frustration right now is in building a team for all the stuff I'm doing with the podcast and some core stuff we're doing and some other things. And it got me thinking about the struggles that most people have in their real estate business and getting things going, getting momentum, right? And that is, something that I haven't had to deal with for a while. I've gotten my real estate business to a certain point where it's been fairly successful and and I've been able to count on a lot of people on my team. Now, granted, I have made some changes in my organization. I am rebuilding some of my team at this point in time. And so I am experiencing some rebuilding momentum there. But momentum is something that I don't think people really give a whole lot of thought to when they get going. And you feel like when you get started in real estate investing, you feel like you have to spend money and get instant results, right? You have to pick up the phone and get instant results. You have to send some text messages and get instant results. And that can be discouraging, when you are first starting out or you're doing a few deals and you're trying to get going, you're trying to figure out which direction to go. And I think a lot of people, they make a mistake of starting something and then quitting. Um, early on because they don't see what they consider, timely results. And so I want to kind of share some of my experiences, with the audience here today as you're all coming on. So my my first iteration of my real estate business, I started door knocking. I always share that. I started door knocking. I get in my car and I drive, and it probably took me I would say closer to 6 months to get my first deal. My second iteration, didn't take quite as long. When I started back in 2012, I had a lot of knowledge in my belt. But it did take me, a couple of months to get my first deal. And so one of the things looking back on that, like what changes between the time you get your first deal until the time you have a functioning business. And, momentum is a huge part of that. When you're first getting going, like, there's a handful of things you're doing, your handful of things you're struggling with. One of which is obviously the learning curve. When I first started door knocking, what to say, how to say it, what times of the day are best days to go, what days of the week are the best days to go, what lists are the best lists to work. Do I wait for the title company to give me the pre-foreclosure list? Do I get it through the newspaper? This is back in 2003. We didn't have information available to us real easily. And so there's that learning curve that you have in, you may be doing some marketing, but maybe you're not handling the call properly, or maybe you're not building the right rapport. Maybe you're too scared to go in for the close. So there's a bit of momentum building there, momentum building in the knowledge and the experience that has to happen for you to be successful in the real estate investing business. And then there is the momentum building in, once you've achieved some success, duplicating that success. And so I always, I talk about marketing. I'm a big direct mail person. I send out a lot of direct mail. And one of the things that we have learned is we'll send out mail and we'll get like the low hanging fruit calls, the calls that come in right away and they're interested in selling or having a conversation or making an appointment. And then we'll get calls that come in later. They'll hold the card for a month or 2 months or 6 months or a year. And then we get the follow up. We're doing follow up. We'll layer those in. So that activity starts to build this momentum and it starts to build, um, this machine that's moving constantly and feeding itself, and that momentum breeds momentum, and pretty soon you're doing a substantial amount of deals, and it takes time to build that. That is something that, it just takes time to build. There's no way to not, to not do it. And one of the things I wanted to say right now, I think a lot of people, depending on your market, may be experiencing loss of momentum, and that's something that's, it's just something to keep an eye on and understand that maybe what you're doing is it hasn't failed you. Maybe you're doing the same thing you always done, but you just took your foot off the gas for a minute and lost momentum. And so, the point is to start rebuilding that momentum. So, it's perspective I wanted to share and get out there with everybody. It's very important to make sure that you are, understanding that it takes time to get the machine going. Just like starting, your car from a stoplight. You got to push on the gas and it starts to build up slowly and faster and faster. You may have a high performance car and you can come off the gas, off the stoplight, and get 0 to 60 in a few seconds. But most people don't do that. Most people don't have, the vehicle to do that, and so we build momentum a little slower, and that's okay. So anyway, if you have questions at all, make sure you post them in the comments here. I am willing to answer any question I have, or to have come up here, and I will do my best to give you all the information that I can to help you get started in this business or to grow your business wherever you're at in your business. So, okay, so we have, um, one here. Started new business 2 months ago. Not able to get desired sales. Me into retail optical shop. How to increase footfall in my business. Tried digital marketing, but not useful. Is this real estate related? um, that is, looks like it may be, business that's not real estate related. So I'm not exactly sure how to answer that. Um, if you can, rephrase that for me so I can maybe answer it. I can't answer most business related questions, and I could probably help you get some traffic in that arena. Um, but that doesn't sound like something that's, I'm very clear on right now. So, any more questions here that we have that I can answer for you, and I will definitely do that. Um, until I see some questions here, let me talk about what we're going on. So, we have the Flip Talk Virtual Summit coming up. It is coming up here in the end of September. It is going to be 3 full days of some cool stuff. If you are not doing, the real estate business right now, then you will definitely learn some cool stuff about it. If you are, um, doing the real estate business right now, you'll definitely learn how to, do it better. So if you're doing deals, we'll help you get more deals. If you're not doing deals, we'll help you get deals. So that is, something we have going on at the end of the September. It is, like I believe the 24th, 25th, and 26th of September. 3 full days of just acquisition strategies, closing seller strategies, and getting the check strategies. Check that out. Let me see here. I got another question. Looks like, what is something that most people do wrong when talking to sellers that needs to be corrected? There is a way to talk to sellers and help with closing. Um, One of the things I think people do that wrong most talking to sellers is, there's a lot actually I could say. So, but, I'd say some of the top things. One is you're trying to sell. You should not be trying to sell the seller on how great you are. You should be there to solve a problem. You should be there to, dissect what they need, and find out what they need, dive into their issues, and find remedies to solve their problems. So, the other issue that people have when talking to sellers is they're just not confident. They're not confident in their ability or what they have to offer. And so again, they revert back to trying to sell the seller instead of making, kind of creating a situation where it's the other way around. So, for instance, when I would go do acquisitions myself, I would go and I would ask questions and I would listen. And I made sure that I listened a lot more than I spoke, and I would ask questions, why are you looking to sell? What are you looking to do once you sell? All questions like that. And I would just listen to the answers. What are some of the things you could address around the property? Why do you not want to keep the property? And I would ask questions and I would listen. And the more you listen, the more they're going to tell you, how to close them, how to sell them. So, I was very confident in why I was there. I was very confident I was there to get a deal done, or at least find the best solution for them. Some of the one of the best ways I can put it in interaction with sellers, this is the way I talk to my team here. I always explain to my team it's like dating. A lot of us will, will go out on a date, and we will, not a lot of us, I should say. Let me rephrase that. You go out on a date with somebody, guy or gal, right? It's the first time you go on a date with a guy or gal, and you sit down with them, and you go, I want to get married in 1 week, and I want to have 5 kids, and I want to do this and I want to do that. Like, that first date is going to blow up. Like, that guy or gal is never going to call you again. A lot of us do that with sellers. We just we sell them on how great we are. We sell them on how we're the best person to work with, and then we regurgitate all this stuff out to them. We tell them basically that, that here's our offer, and you got to close with me, and blah 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 blah. We try to sell them on it, and it just doesn't work. We're going for the kiss too early. It's like, you got to do the dating, you got to do the dance, you got to read the signals, you got to ask the questions. You sit down with somebody on a date, and you're asking questions, you're getting to know them, you're getting to know, why other relationships haven't worked, you're getting to know who they are and what their interests are, you're getting to know what their future looks like, you're getting to know these things, you're looking to see if you're a good fit, if you can connect. And then once you have determined that, in the conversation, then you take it to the next step. And it's the same thing with the seller. It's like dating people. It's like, you do not want to give information up too soon. You do not want to go in for the kiss too early. You do not want to do these things that are going to, turn somebody off, or put a defensive wall up, or make them feel like it's too easy, right? You got to play a little hard to get. And that's, I would say, the sometimes the mistake that people make with sellers isn't necessarily what they say, but it's how they say it, and it's delivery, and it's when it's delivered, if that makes sense. So hopefully that helps. Okay, so hey Don, glad to see you're doing good. Slowly started getting into wholesaling, but got caught up by being scared to cold call. I have 200 properties on my list from D4D and PropStream. I've sent mailers 4 weeks ago and no response. I know it takes 5 to 6 touches to get a good amount of response, but I also saw a short video you posted about texting being a great tool. What services are you what services are you recommending to text for someone who hasn't done their first deal? Launch Control is a great service. If you go to fliptalk.com/launch, Launch Control is a great service for texting. Here's the thing I want to say though. Okay, direct mail, you said you sent out direct mail and you haven't got any responses. If your list is super small, you may not get any responses right away, but that does not mean you won't get responses over time. And there's something to be said about consistency. If your list is super small and it's not financially burdensome to send them on a regular basis, you may want to send that maybe every 2 to 3 months, and touch that list every 2 to 3 months until you get a response. Marketing is like fishing, right? You do what you can to identify the best spot. Certain lake has certain fish, certain time of year is the best time to fish. But then when you throw your pole in, you don't know if the bait's appropriate for that moment necessarily. Again, you do your best guess. So we'll do certain postcards or texting or cold calling. But then it's like, which fish is going to bite? And that's really what it comes down to. There's some randomness in it. We try to do everything we can to eliminate the randomness. The key is consistency and momentum. Like I was saying in the beginning, you have to build that momentum. So it's very important with any marketing channel you do, that you create some kind of consistency in it. Don't send postcards to a list one time and never send them again. Don't send them every week or necessarily every month either if you don't have a big budget. But maybe every 60 to 90 days it would be appropriate to send those postcards out to these individuals. So, and then of course, cold calling, you were scared to cold call. There are some fairly inexpensive services out there. Lead Gen Pros is one of them that we use to generate leads. You can also hire your own VA. There are a lot of great VA services out there, and teach them to cold call for you. The thing I want to say about being scared, there are so many things that I do that are scary. There are so many things in my business. Right now, there are things that I'm doing that scare me. Talking on stage, talking on a mic. Most people don't believe that being on a microphone and doing a podcast and doing lives was scary is all hell. I mean, imagine you get on here to go live and there's like nobody here. You're talking to yourself for a few minutes. And you got to fill dead air. It's scary. It's one of those things that's that makes you crazy, right? But nothing beats doing it. You pick up the phone, you start making those calls. I'm telling you, like you start getting the objections, you start getting the no's, you start trying your tricks to get around those, get conversation going. And it just each time it becomes easier. So, I know those things are scary, but if you want it bad enough, if you want to change your life, there's there's no reason to not do it. So many people give advice. So many people. I'm gonna go off on a tangent here. So with that question, um, so many people give advice about just do it, face your fears. The advice I'm gonna give you right now, everybody who's watching right now, this is my soapbox moment for this talk. I'm telling you to be afraid. Okay. I'm telling you to be scared. I'm telling you to be terrified. And I'm telling you to do that because you need to be terrified of not having the life that you want. You need to be terrified of not having the future you deserve. You need to be terrified of staying in mediocrity and regret and everything else. That needs to scare you. And it needs to scare you so bad that you do the things that make you uncomfortable, that you get on the phone and you call, that you go knock on the door, that you start texting people, that you start taking action. That needs to scare you to a level that you take action. I'm telling you to embrace that fear. I'm telling you to embrace that fear and make it your power and make it your fuel and make it everything that it needs to be to drive you towards the future that you damn well deserve and that you should have. And though that's what I do at the end of the day. Talking on stage, talking in front of a mic, doing certain things in my business has scared the hell out of me at points. But being broke again, not being able to afford Taco Bell for my family, not being able to do these things scares me a hell of a lot worse. A hell of a lot worse. And so I do the things that I don't necessarily like to do, or I do the things that scare me because I don't want what I had. I want the life that I deserve. And that's an important takeaway here. So that's my soapbox moment for this conversation. Now, again, launch control is a great service to use. Fliptalk.com/launch. Check it out. It's definitely worth having. So, Paul, so about to roll out Podio with beast mode from using Highrise HQ. I'm super excited. Yes, beast mode, Don Ross is incredible, and you'll definitely be happy with that service. Paul, you owe me a conversation, buddy. So let's talk soon here. So Patrick, I'm trying to make direct mail work in my market. I tried one drop of 1,500 mailers to a stacked list and got 2 calls, 0 leads from it. Total cost was $650. I haven't tried again since because my other marketing channels all have a cost per lead below 500. How are you able to break through and have success with mail? Maybe my sample size is just too small. So I'm going to post that up here. So yes, okay, Patrick. There's a couple of things to be said about that. One is the sample size may be too small. There's the other thing too. Let me post this off so you can see my hand. So there's this like curve, right, in marketing. I call it an S curve. So right here on the bottom, you spend a certain amount of money in a marketing channel and you're not going to have a whole lot of success. You're not spending enough money in that marketing channel to get momentum, right? You're not spending enough money in that marketing channel to start seeing traction in that marketing channel. Once you start coming up the curve, that's the spot where you're seeing traction. Now, why I call it S curve is because there's always a spot in any market with any marketing that you get diminishing returns, right? You've hit the data too many times, you run out of data, whatever. And at that time, you've gone deep enough in your market and maybe time to open up a new market or a new marketing channel. So, but you want to be in that sweet spot. And so there's a couple of things to be said about that. It may just be that you just need to hit that list a few times, in a year to get any kind of traction from it. It may be that you need to actually widen the list a little bit more and be a little bit more aggressive with it. We got momentum in direct mail because I went big. I had a buddy of mine who's also a competitor. He asked me because 2018 we sent 1.2 million postcards, and he asked me, he's like, "How'd you get the balls to do that?" And it was just a matter of, I did the math. And it was like, if we do X with at this these intervals, and we have heavy follow up, and we have good closers on our team, we should make X multiple, right? And I just went for it and went big. And so, I'm not saying that anybody listening to this has to go that big, but you have to understand that you have to make, a calculated commitment to whatever level of marketing you're going to do. And then you have to stick to it consistently. Doing it one time and not getting results doesn't mean it's not going to work. It may be, do you have to adjust the list? It may be you have to adjust the postcard. So some, it may be one of those things. With text messaging and cold calling, it could be that you have to adjust your messaging, right? But it doesn't mean to stop. And that's the important thing. It just means, evaluate, did I hit it enough times? Did I hit it on a big enough target? So, and then reevaluate and redeploy. A few questions ago, it was asked about, 5 or 6 touches. I don't believe that. I want to say that in this, I don't believe that the amount of touches matter. I just believe that if the message is in front of you when you're ready to see it, you are going to react. And that's what it comes down to is, are we putting our messaging in front of people when they're ready to see it? Whether it's direct mail, text messaging, cold calling, or internet marketing channel. Does the person have a problem that they need to solve, a situation in their life that they need to address, something that's going to cause them to put their hand up and say they want to sell? And do we have the ability to put our marketing in front of them in that moment? And consistency is the most likely opportunity to put that marketing in front of them during that moment. Having a magical list is not. We try to get the data as best we can because we want to scale that pool down to the most likely targets that are going to put their hands up. But at the end of the day, it's random. So consistency is the only other thing that eliminates that randomness. Do you text an offer by email or text message? Okay, that's a fantastic question. So, do you text your offer? And the answer is communicate with the seller how they want to be communicated with. So, I know that goes against every popular probably teaching out there, but we closed a property via text message. Never talked to the seller all the way through. We didn't talk to the seller until probably the day or two before closing. That was one of my biggest wholesale assignment fees in my company to date. It was $165,000. We closed that via text message. I told my acquisitions rep the entire time he's getting catfish because he never talked to the person on the phone. And so, but the reason we closed it was because that's how the seller wanted to communicate. The seller did not want to get on the phone. That's how they wanted to communicate. And had we forced them to get on the phone with us, we probably wouldn't have got that deal. So, do I believe personally that belly to belly or on the phone or those kind of things are better than text messaging or emailing stuff back and forth? Absolutely. Do I believe you should text or email an offer that you haven't taken the proper steps of negotiation, rapport building, and problem solving? No, I do not. But if you have handled the sales process properly and that's how the seller wants to communicate, then I don't see any issue with putting it in writing. So I want to make sure that that's said. There is a proper sales process that needs to be followed in any transaction you do, whether it's in belly to belly, on the phone, or any other way. And you can't jump the gun on that and play your hand too soon. You can't go in for the kiss too early. Otherwise, it's not going to be successful. But if that's the only way the seller wants to communicate, and you have you went through the proper sales process, then by all means, I have no problem sending the offer that way. So, JLS, we are focusing on increasing our lead conversion rate because we have trouble getting sellers to commit towards taking action or a decision. Um, Man, I wish I could talk that out with you a little bit. So, we're focusing on increasing our lead conversion rate. So, because we are having trouble getting sellers to commit towards taking action or a decision. Um, I'm not 100% sure, when these questions come out that way when I'm reading them, what you mean by them, but I'm going to assume you mean that you're running into the issue of just getting sellers um, to follow through with a yes or a no, and I think that is part of that's going to be the process of you know um, what's the word? Kind of getting to objections up front, right? Getting to objections up front of the conversation, eliminating any deal killers, making sure you're building proper rapport, making sure you're getting to the why. So I think that's a good thing to do is focus on that and focus on the conversion rate, and making sure that you're doing the steps you need to get them to the finish line. Part of that may be an upfront agreement in the conversation and just asking them, if we can solve your problem today, get you exactly what you want, and eliminate all your concerns. Can I get a yes or no out of you? I mean, that it may be as simple as something like that. So I can say that with COVID going on, depending on what state you're in, sellers are more reluctant to make decisions right now, more so because they don't know where to go. And that's something that we are internally running into as an organization, is that we have people to say, we want to sell, we're ready to sell, we need to sell, but there's nothing for rent, or I don't even know what I could buy right now. And we have record low inventories. And so it is a tough situation to deal with. So I will say that that it is an issue that some people are dealing with more so because of what's going on in the climate, and it could be related to that, or it could be related to your ability to um, you know build better rapport and a better understanding with the sellers. So yeah. So okay, that's right. I remember you said you spent 400K on paper on Steve's podcast. Yes, I did. So right here, oh, yes, Patrick. I spent $400,000 on direct mail. It makes my stomach turn when I think about it, but I'm excited about it at the same time. So it's nuts. Um, let's see here. In my business, offline marketing is still better than digital marketing, like newspaper flyers, pamphlets. Still bring me sales, but digital marketing not working for me. Maybe I need to go for longer campaigns. Yeah, I would say so. More repetition and consistency really does make a difference. More just it's the momentum building. They see you, they know you're there, and then they see you again, then they know you're there. Then they see you again, they know you're there, and then they have a situation that needs to be resolved, and they respond. And that's really where the consistency comes in. So would you recommend hire first when you first try scaling? Oh, what would you recommend hiring first when you first try to scale up? So my answer is the same every single time, and I'm sorry, but it really depends on your situation. So you need to hire for what you either hate to do or what you suck at. That really should be your first hire. The best advice I can give is look at your blind spot. Okay, what's your gap, right? And that's the position you need to fill. If there is something that you're doing on a day-to-day basis that is taking you away from your ability to make money, then you need to remove that from your tasks so that you can actually focus on making money. Okay. What is that? Is that project management? Are you rehabbing? Is that project management? Is that transaction coordination? Is that acquisitions? What is it that is costing you money? Whether it's you suck at it and it's costing you money, whether you hate it so you avoid it, like maybe cold calling, or um, is it something that you're not good at for some reason, or you're great at it, but your time is better used somewhere else? Like that's the evaluation that you should be doing when you're hiring. There's no there's no right or wrong to that answer. You could talk to 15 different people about who their first hire was, and 15 different people are going to give you a different answer. And the reason is because we all have different needs. So when you're trying to scale, okay, hire for where you want to go. That's not mine. I came up with that, through somebody else, but hire for where you want to go. So always look at where you want to be and hire people to fill the positions to help you get there. Hire before you need them, because you don't want to be in the weeds and buried and not be able to give them the proper training they deserve. And then hire to fill your blind spots. Okay. Very important. When you're hiring, most of us make this weird assumption we're hiring that we got to build this team that we got to serve. And we build a team around us that we either are yes men and women, and they tell us what we want to hear, not what we need to hear, or B, we build this team that needs us constantly. And what you want to do when you're building a team is you want to build a team that fills your blind spots and helps you get where you want to go. It's like, a football team doesn't have five quarterbacks. They fill multiple positions, right? Quarterbacks, linemen, defensive, offensive, and these people have different talents, and each skill set helps you get to the goal, helps you get to the touchdown. And it's the same thing you should be doing in your business. Is you should be hiring the talent that fills your blind spots and helps you accomplish your goal. People who can stand on their own feet without you, people who have talent where they can make decisions and they don't need you to be a bottleneck in order to make your business successful. That's how you should hire. That's how you should hire. That's how you should look at it. So, um, Okay. Do your reps use advance agreements to formalize a decision with the seller? They are now. That I can tell you, and it's more so because it was not my practice to use advance agreements for a lot of years. I did acquisitions and and I am one of those. Like I said, I ask a lot of questions. I listen. And I don't usually have an issue closing you if you're closable. When you're training an acquisitions team, I have found that you can't always teach them your way, right? So the advanced agreements, I think, are very important, in various steps and various stages of the conversation, and they eliminate the excuses in the end. I got to talk to my spouse, I got to talk to my brother, I got to think about it, I got to do this, I got to do that. If you can do the advanced agreements, you can eliminate the objections up front. It really makes the closing process simple. At the end of the day, we're trying to just get through the bull, right, and get to the finish line with the seller, either a yes or a no. Do I put you back in follow up, or are we going to get something done? And that's what you're trying to solve. So the quicker you can do that, the less time your team wastes, and they can focus on the deals they're going to close. What's your thoughts on carrot sites and SEO? Carrot sites are great. Carrot sites are great. Lead propeller sites are great. They're both services that you can use to do deals. I have both. I have a investor carrot site and I have a lead propeller site. Our cashoffersnow.com site is a lead propeller site. And let's see. Fresno Cash. No, Fresno Cash buyers. Type here today. Yeah, FresnoCashBuyers.com is a lead propeller site. So we have CashOffersNow.com and Fresno Cash Buyers. One is they're each different sites. I think they're great. SEO is a very inexpensive way to rank compared to PPC. I'm not a big PPC fan because in some markets it gets out of control, especially if you have the wrong people managing it. But I do feel like utilizing some of these services and SEO is fantastic. My only complaint, I think, about some of these services versus like doing it on your own, having your own site designed, is that you got to be careful and having your site look like everybody else's, but at the same time, having something that's done and plug and play and fairly inexpensive and designed to rank properly for you. There's nothing wrong with that, especially early on in your business journey. So, and we use them. We have multiple websites. Okay, what would you pay an acquisitions person and a TC? That's a great question. So acquisitions people, so the standard is around 10% for acquisition. Some people pay, higher. Some companies pay 12 or 15%. I wouldn't go much higher than 12 or 15%. And the reason why I say that is because if you're running a business that's doing, any kind of volume, you have your overhead, you have your other employees, you have marketing expenses, you have all these things to consider. And at the end of the day, if you're giving away 20 or 30 or 40 or 50% to an acquisitions person, you're not going to be making any money as a business. You're just not. So you got to think ahead. It's a lot harder to go to somebody and say, I've been paying you 25%, but now the business has grown and the overhead's grown, so I have to cut your pay back, versus going to them and maybe offering to pay a little more. So you think about the goal in mind. If you think about the goal in mind, you want to start them off somewhere between the 10 and 15% mark at the most. And, that's got to be taken in consideration, obviously, of how much volume you're doing. If you're not doing a whole lot of volume, then that makes it a little tougher, right? Because, they're going to starve if they're not making decent money on each transaction. So you got to find balance in that. And so again, it's going to depend on your situation, how you want to approach it. At the end of the day, if you want to grow though, around 10% ish for an acquisitions person is appropriate. 5 to 7.5% ish for a disposition person is appropriate. In our organization, we pay hourly to our acquisitions and a commission. Our commission is a little lower than 10%, but we have a base that we pay. So transaction coordination, I've had transaction coordinators. They generally start with us somewhere around 14 or $15 an hour. And then I had somebody who was with me for 4 years that was making about 50 grand a year. as a TC. So, and I've heard that they make higher in some organizations. So, again, it just depends on what's right for your business. The cool thing about transaction coordination is there are services out there. You do your homework that are per deal, so per file. So maybe you give them a couple $100 per file, and you don't hire somebody internally. And then the other thing to consider for TC is there are some VA services like Rocket Station's a great one out there that you can hire a VA for about $10 an hour. They can do your transaction coordination for you. And there are services out there where you can find them even cheaper than that. So just something to consider. Okay, Paul Good, where would be the best resource to learn more about advanced agreements? Great question. Okay, so there are several sales trainers out there that have put out great content. Obviously, John Martinez is the OG in sales training. He talks a lot about advanced agreements in his conversation. Steve Trang is a good friend of mine, and he has a sales training as well that my team's actually going through right now. My team's been through John's, now they're going through Steve's, and he does, the advanced agreements. The Steve and John actually teach based on the same principles, but they have a totally different approach and totally different style of doing it. And so it's just worth seeing both of them, I think. And then, of course, Scott Oots is a good friend of mine, a great friend of mine, and also the owner of Lead Gen Pros. And he is got a sales training coming out, more in person, tactical sales training, and his team's a beast. So that's something I would definitely check out when they do their live event. So hopefully that helps. Who's in your team, as in positions? So positions wise, we have VAs that are doing lead management, follow up, answering calls, and that kind of stuff. We have acquisitions. Acquisitions, we do everything over the phone. Right now, we have scaled back some with COVID. Obviously, we changed our infrastructure, so that's where the VAs came from. We didn't have VAs prior to COVID, and so we have the acquisitions team here locally. We have dispositions. We have project managers for the rehab side of the business. And then we have a TC/office manager in our office. We also have a real estate arm with a broker and about 6 or 7 agents as well that is associated with our business. So that's hopefully that's what you need and what you're looking for. So great questions. All of them great questions. Hopefully, I answered them for you and you got what you need from it. If I didn't cover what you needed, go ahead and hit me again. I have no problem answering it. And of course, for those of you who are listening, when we obviously publish this for the podcast, I'll be dropping this. So this will air on the Flip Talk podcast. If you are listening to this Wednesdays at 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern, we're going to be doing these Q&As on the Don Costa page. I think they're also being broadcast in the Flip Talk with Don Costa page and in the Flip Talk Real Estate Investors group. You're welcome to go to any of those at 2 p.m. on Wednesdays and ask questions here. And I will do my best to answer them for you. So, question here: what market am I in? I'm in about 8 different markets. Actually, I am in my home base is Fresno, California. I go from about Bakersfield up to the Bay Area. We do some stuff up in Oregon, and then we're actually moving into a Midwest market right now. So we are in a number of markets as we speak and growing. So. Should you pay to start? Should I pay to start the Carrot site or SEO? Look, I don't know where you're at in your business. So let me just preface this. I ran a business, granted it was from about 2003 to about 2007 without a website at all, period. Like I didn't have a website. And for the first year or so of my business, this time around, after the crash and everything, I didn't have a website. I didn't have a business card. So do you need a corporation? Do you need a business name? Do you need a website? Do you need a business card to do any of this? No, you do not. And don't let that be a distraction or hold you up from taking action. You need to be doing stuff that gives you momentum, regardless of your situation, to make money. Now, if you're already doing business and you're just looking to add something to your ability to get your reach out there or credibility, then by all means, yes, I think a Carrot site, you probably should add a Carrot site to what you're doing. It doesn't hurt to have one out there. It doesn't hurt to be doing marketing and SEO again with the right people behind you. can be a very inexpensive way to generate leads to you. It doesn't help to have that credibility either if somebody Googles or searches you, you know. So by all means, my answer would be it doesn't hurt to do it. Should you? I don't know what your situation is. Okay. I don't know where you're at monetarily. I don't know if that's the last dollar you have. And so I just want to say that there are 1,000 ways to make money getting started. I made money knocking on doors the first time I started. The second time I started twice in this business, people. The second time I started off by networking. I got my first deal networking. I didn't spend a dime. So there are ways to do it. So that's my answer to that. Brian, when on appointments with a seller, many say you do not want to leave without a signed contract, but you also don't want to be the sales guy on the lot pressuring people. What are some tax tips and tricks? I don't believe in the you can't leave the appointment without a contract. What I do believe is if there's a decision to be made there, if there is a win-win situation to be created, if you and the seller are aligned in solving their problem and all of that kind of stuff, then I don't think you should leave that appointment without that contract because it's ready to go. It's teed up. If there's a disconnect, if you haven't created a win-win situation, if you haven't, shown the seller how you're going to solve their problem, if there's still objections you haven't resolved and you can't seem to get that to that resolution, then I don't feel like you should force a square peg in a round hole and try to bully somebody into sign a contract or, that kind of thing. So, it's a balance. I've left many appointments without a signed contract to get them later, to get them during the follow-up appointment or a follow-up phone call. And there's been times where I've had some uncertainty on the appointment and I have, let them know that I was going to go crunch some numbers and give them a call back. Now, a lot of people will say don't do that because of competition out there. And there is something to be said about that. But again, it's one of those things that, um, you gotta find that balance of, is that timing right for that? So, is there such thing as a one call close? Absolutely. But even over closing on the phone, we hardly ever get the contract on the first phone call. It usually takes a handful of phone calls before we actually get that contract. That's just the way it is. People are more savvy these days. They're doing research. They're trying to figure out they're making the best decision. And if you're not good at solving that right out of the gate, then sometimes it'll take a few touches. There's been times where I walked away from an appointment that was a slam dunk because the seller gave me a number that was like, oh my God, like, yes, I'll buy that like 5 times over. I would have paid twice that. And so in order to not appear so excited, I went, well, I'm not sure. Let me go back and crunch some numbers. I'll get back to you. There's been times where I've done that just because, I knew that if I said yes, at that appointment in that situation, that the seller was going to feel like, um, they got, they may have given me a number too soon or too early or too low. So, it all depends on the read on the situation, but I don't, again, it's not a right or a wrong answer. When somebody's telling you you should try to get that contract, you absolutely should. But if there's an objection there and you can't overcome it, don't pressure them. And part of the, the advanced agreements and part of all that is to get to, to get all those things removed up front. So you're not dealing with that on the back end, so that you can get that contract if that contract is gettable. Okay. What would you recommend on virtual? That is a loaded question. And, I'm going to need virtual wholesaling. Again, I don't, what would I recommend in what? What would I recommend in marketing? What would I recommend in, how to close the property? What would I recommend and what? So hit me that again. I'm sorry, but like specifically, like, I can give you an hour conversation on what I recommend in virtual wholesaling. So if you have like a specific question, then I'll be more than happy to answer that specific question. We are in virtual markets and we do virtual stuff and we close everything over the phone and we buy property sight unseen. And I can answer questions in every one of those realms. But in order for me to condense this, marketing. Okay, so I'm assuming you're talking about marketing for virtual wholesaling. Again, it depends on the market, but right now we're doing a lot of cold calling and we're doing a lot of text messaging. And I highly recommend that right now with what's going on COVID. It's one of the cheaper ways to hit people. I am a big postcard guy. We are still sending direct mail. We're not sending it at the level we were. Um, and it's more so because in a lot of the markets that we're in, people are a little slower to make a decision because they don't know where they're going to go, right? They don't know what's going to happen with where most of my markets are in California, and people, California was the first state to lock down, and there's a lot of things going on that really are making people uneasy about making decisions. My team is working hard behind the scenes to help them make those decisions, help them find new places and that kind of thing. But the cold calling and text messaging, most definitely, I think, for virtual markets, especially when you're trying to get in and learn that market and you're trying to learn values and you're trying to learn like what buyers you should be selling to and all that kind of stuff. I think that the less expensive ways of tapping into it are probably the best way to go. And then layer in the additional marketing like direct mail and stuff like that once you have your foot in the door and you've got some momentum. So let's see here. Really want to sign up for the virtual summit, but my kids are remote learning. If I sign up, will it be recorded? Yes, the VIP we are giving the recordings out. So we are recording it, and the VIP for the virtual summit is going to be recorded, and we will be sending those recordings out. So to anybody who signed up. So what I would suggest doing is signing up for the VIP and getting the recordings that way. There are some other things we're working on the back end where we may be able to just provide the recordings by themselves and provide an offer with that. But right now, the best way to do it is through the VIP. And if we are able to roll anything else out, if it ends up being a discount, then you just hit me up and we'll refund the difference. But right now, the option is the VIP, and it will be recorded. So for those of you who are not familiar or just tuning in, the Flip Talk Virtual Summit is at the end of this month. It is a Thursday, Friday, Saturday. I believe it's the 24th, 25th, and 26th of September. And yes, it is. And so we will be laying out acquisition strategies, talking to sellers, dispo strategies, marketing strategies. We are going to be just really hitting home and delivering some great stuff. It is not a free event. It's $97. It's cheap for 3 days. Me and about 10 other people, close friends of mine in the real estate industry, part of our mastermind community, will be laying out our businesses and sharing some case studies and answering questions. It's not going to be a webinar. It is not a webinar. You are actually going to be able to ask us questions and interact with us through the process, and we're just looking forward to delivering some great content out there. The VIP is 197. It will be recorded, and then there'll be some opportunities. We're going to be announcing some really cool things about the VIP. So there'll be some stuff going on after the event for VIP people who sign up for VIP to be able to take advantage of. Plus, you'll get a vault. You'll get all the documents and information we share at the event as well as part of that. So let's see here. What are one or two weekly or monthly productivity KPIs you use for acquisitions managers? Do you expect or ask for self-generated leads? Okay, so two questions there. The KPIs, look, when it comes to the acquisitions manager themselves, there are a few things we look at, and they're not necessarily KPI based, but I want to share them. So one is, are you when a lead has been assigned to you, are you touching that lead? What's the time frame that you're in fact, we've even set up in our Podio system that you have to accept that lead. If you haven't accepted that lead within a certain period of time, you will actually lose that lead. It'll go to another acquisitions manager. So very important to understand that there. That's number one. So we have these processes in place. If you don't have the lead close within a certain period of time, it goes back to lead manager for follow-up, and the lead manager can reassign it to anybody they want, whether it's you or somebody else, and that kind of thing. So when we're looking at KPIs for acquisitions managers right now, we're looking to conversations, to offers, and then offers to accepted contracts. So, we have it broken down, that we have to have X amount of conversations per offers and then X amount of offers per signed contract. Is kind of how it's been broken down in our organization. I get more details in a later Q&A on how we do that, but essentially we're looking at an average. So for these these acquisitions managers. If you're having an average number of conversations and you're making an average number of offers per conversation, you're getting an average number of contracts. And so you should average, I want to say it's about 3 offers to 1 contract. I want to be 100% certain on that. So I'm not going to say for sure. And then how we gauge an offer is a little different too, in the sense of how it converts. But anyway, the long and the short of it is you should develop a sequence in your organization. If they're on X amount of appointments, for instance, if you're going belly to belly, you should close about 2 or 3 in 10. So 2 or 3, 2 is a good acquisitions person. A good acquisitions person should close 2 and 10 appointments, right? So that's really a great matrix. And so you start breaking down like what's the expectation? If my acquisitions managers are doing appointments at a reasonable rate, which should be about 10 to 12 a week. You don't want to give an acquisitions person more than that, because if they're going drive time, appointment time, research, pre-work, offers, it ends up being a lot if you're doing more than about 10 or 12 appointments a week. And if you get them 10 or 12 appointments a week, they should be closing an average 2 and 10. That's a good acquisitions person. If you get them 10 appointments a week, 40 appointments a month, they should be feasibly getting eight contracts a month at a minimum. So that, if you're doing belly to belly, is a good matrix to go off of when it comes to kind of KPIs for your acquisitions people. We do expect self-generated leads. We don't always get them. We do offer a higher commission for self-generated leads, and it's funny, even with a much higher, much more aggressive commission structure. It's weird. Some acquisitions people will be all over it, and a lot of them won't. And I've talked to people at a high level that have multi-million-dollar real estate investing businesses, and most of them struggle with the same thing, that they don't. They can't seem to get their acquisitions people to do self-generated leads, even when they require it or they pay more. So, but we do require it, and we do pay more. It's just whether or not you're going to get them to do it. I'm not going to lie to you. It's a little tougher. So, let's see here. Great stuff, Brian. Thank you, Matt. Do you have any clauses for an operating agreement for an LLC? So do I have any clauses? Matt, explain that to me. So clauses as to what? We have tons of clauses. I have an operating agreement for an LLC. Are you asking for an operating agreement, or are you asking for any specific clauses in it? So let me know. Matt Smith, who are the speakers at your virtual summit? Yeah, I don't have the lineup in front of me. So obviously myself, Mike Cowper. We have a number of our mastermind members, our mastermind community is speaking at that event. We will have the lineup. Actually, the page is being redesigned right now with the speaker lineup. Should be up tomorrow, and it'll have the speaker lineup. What I will do is I'll post in the comments, Matt, who the speakers are going to be here, just because I don't want to miss anybody. But I think we have about 10 different speakers that'll be speaking, and they'll be talking about everything from marketing, cold calling, interacting with sellers, case studies on deals. We have a guy that's going to share how he locked up and made $300,000 on a deal. So, and he's a young guy. He's in his 20s. He's just a rock star. His name's Sean. So, and of course, we will be going over, title issues, stuff you need to look out for, stuff that's going to slow you down, stuff that's going to help you get your check done faster. And every one of these topics we're going to be hitting over the 3 days. There are going to be people who are experts that I consider experts, the people that I look up to, the people that teach me a few things here and there. And they'll be speaking and sharing, their best sources for success. So I will post those in the comments, and we'll definitely get that out to you guys. And of course, fliptalkvirtualsummit.com. Tomorrow we will have, we should have the speakers line up on there, and every one will be definitely somebody worth listening to. They are all rock stars in their own right. So, okay, we've been on for 54 wonderful minutes. These are all great questions. Hopefully I will be able to answer all your questions here. Hopefully you guys are all happy with that. Will the event and speakers be pitching anything? No, they will not. We will definitely share stuff that we have going on. Just like I do here. You can tell I'm not a hard sales guy about anything. So The event is designed, whether if you're doing deals, we're going to show you how to do more. And if you're not doing deals, we're going to show you how to do deals. And it's designed to make sure that you have what you need when you walk away. It's not a sales event. So we're going to share stuff with you that you're going to be able to take action on and you're going to be able to use. And whether you ever talk to me again or see me again, it'll be worth it for you. So you'll get what you need from it. So, do I have other things going on? Absolutely. Do I have a mastermind community called the Inner Circle Elite that I'd love some of you to be members of? Absolutely. If you want to be a member of it, go to beinthisroom.com. You know how obviously interacting with me, my style here, even talking about this event. I'm not a pitch fest kind of guy. I'm about giving value. I'm about hitting it home. I'm about making sure that you can use what I give you. And if you buy something from me in the future, that's great. I'm not in the education side to make money. I'm in the education side to impact lives. And so no, it's not a pitch fest event. That's the one thing I'll tell you. Like I said, we're going to share different things we have going on. I'm going to talk about the mastermind community just like I talk about it here, but it's not a pitch fest. It is designed, it is event to give you what you need so that you can implement, so that you can do what you need to do. And if you never ever interact with me again, you're going to get value from it. So you're going to be able to use it. So, can I get a sample of your text or email offer? Um, Message me and I'll see what I can get to you. Let's we may have to jump on a quick call, so I know exactly what you're looking for. But just send me a message on Messenger. If we're not friends, it might take me a minute to respond, just because I had to go through and see that somebody wanting to get something from me. So, but yeah, message me and I'll see if I get that for you. So. Um, so yeah, okay. So that's what we got. The Flip Talk podcast. Obviously, make sure you're listening to it. Go to fliptalk.com if you want to get any information about previous shows. You can also find the show on um, Stitcher and iTunes and every place you listen. I believe even Spotify. We're on Spotify. So Flip Talk Rookie Playbook for those of you just starting out. Literally 49 weeks. We start with week 1. How do you even get started in real estate investing? So go check out Flip Talk Rookie Playbook. Just put Flip Talk Rookie Playbook and search in your search, and it'll come up. Start with week 1. We go each week from I got a crazy idea that I want to start in real estate investing. And so there's tons of content out there. I have about almost 4 years of content out there for you. I give it away. It's something I do. I run a real business. People, I'm going to show something probably next week, but you know, and from December to January of 2020, we did almost $200,000 in assignment fees alone. From just in May 2020, during COVID, we did $118,000 in assignment fees alone. In 2020 as a whole, I did $1,070,000 in assignment fees, and I can show the HUDs. Okay, I've been doing this. I run a real business. I have people right outside my door right now on the phones. I run a real business, and I'm just looking to share that with people as much as I possibly can. So make sure you're tuning in here and asking your questions next Wednesday, 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern. I will do everything I can to make sure I give you the answers. If you notice, I don't hold anything back. I'm as honest as I possibly can be. So share this. If you're watching this, share it. Give me likes and loves. Share it out with people. Let people know about the Flip Talk Virtual Summit. In fact, we are going to be doing keep your eye out for a promotion we're doing where you can win a VIP ticket to the Flip Talk Virtual Summit. It's going to be an Instagram promotion. So maybe go follow me at The Real Don Costa. And if you're looking to get a free ticket for the Flip Talk Virtual Summit, and we're going to be doing a promotion where you can also, get a free ticket to that. So with that said, it looks like the questions are good. Until next week, guys and gals, until I talk to you again, I hope you have a wonderful day. I look forward to seeing all of you succeed, knock it out of the park, make sure you win. And thank you very much, Paul. I appreciate you, Matt. I appreciate you. Everybody else on here, thank you very much. Have a wonderful day.